Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome again to The Drop. I'm joined, per usual, with my homie and bud, Jordan Mitchell. What's up, my dog?
What's up, man? How you doing today?
Dude, I'm great. No complaints for once.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yes, it is
Sun is
awesome.
shining, the snow is out. It's a good day.
There is actually some snow. Dude, okay, I did find this pretty funny. So, Trollhagen announced, 5 days ago or so, that they were like, with all this new snow, they were going to like open up for a few extra days, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, sick, dude. And then they announced they're going to be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm like, rad, that's tomorrow, the next day. For those that we're recording, today's Wednesday, just FYI. Anyway, and I was all jacked up about it. I was like hyped. And then Buck Hill and Wild Mountain both like, whoa, we want to open too. And so now they're open Friday and Saturday also. But nobody wants to stay open Sunday, I guess.
Oh, really?
But I'm just like,
it's Easter. That's why.
Oh, yeah,
Some
maybe.
people celebrate Easter. Dude,
I mean,
for sure that's why.
I guess so. Well, do you think if we had a good snow year that they would be closed on that day? Or they're just like, oh, we're already kind of closed, so
I don't know.
let's just not reopen for Sunday.
It's probably it. Probably a combo of both.
I don't know. But now I'm just like, where do I go? You know, because I really like Buck Hill, but I also really love Trollhagen. But Trollhagen's also an hour away. Buck Hill's 20 minutes away.
Well, you're not going to go to Wild.
I might go to Wild. The one nice thing about Troll and Wild is that you can kind of go to both of them. Troll or Wild is kind of on the way, or it can be on the way to Troll. So it's like, you know, it's only like 10, they're only like 10, 15 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
So you can kind of hit them both. But I will be at Wild anyways on August 6th for the Big Air contest.
You're announcing, right?
I am planning on it. Yeah. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
If you guys are around, make sure you check it out. But yeah, today's episode, what's it going to be about, Jordan?
Street etiquette.
Snowboarding
street etiquette. Sorry, I had a little malfunction here, but
all good.
Street etiquette. And I don't know, there's a lot to that, I think, right? Like we've kind of been going back and forth talking about it a little bit before.
Yeah. I think there's a ton that goes into it. We're going to get into all of those. But first, I forgot to mention, we have a website, by the way. So we've kind of told you guys about this before, but I just want to remind everyone, we have a pretty sick website up. thedropsnowboarding.com. It's pretty dope. It's cool. It's got all the links, everything you need. It's got, you know, subscription to YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, all the links, all the stuff. We also have a Patreon and a store.
Dude, we got the About thing too.
The About thing, yeah. I mean, it's just a little something about us. So something about us. In case you guys don't know, both Jordan and I have been longtime snowboarders. So just a little info / some footy about us.
Store.
And then the store. Yeah, of course. This is great. So we've had a few orders so far. Make sure that you guys keep those coming.
That's my hoodie, right? That's my
you ordered
hoodie.
that embroidered one, and
I like that one.
it looked really good. I ordered that Dad Circle corduroy cap. I'm a big fan.
You even got you coffeed with your...
In case you need a coffee mug, you know. But yeah, support the show, support us, and make sure you're rocking gear from your favorite podcast / videocast / whatever you want to call it. But yeah, make sure you guys check that out. So anyway, Jordan, street snowboarding etiquette.
Let's get into it.
I think we should start with the biggest sort of, I guess, elephant in the room when it comes to street snowboarding is property damage, right? Like, have you personally had any instances where a business owner or a homeowner or wherever a manager, a person of authority in charge of that property has come out and spoken to you?
Oh, many times. A lot of times the people that come and talk to you are the people that just work at the place or just don't want to see people having fun. That's the problem. But yeah, I think now as us both being homeowners and whatnot, you're like, I don't think I'd really want to deal with someone fucking up my property, you know, and getting sued. That's a whole thing we'll get into.
Yeah, we can get into.
But yeah, I
lawsuits.
100% I've been grabbed. I've had my snowboard thrown. I've been cops called. We've all dealt with that. Have you? Have you been arrested? Have you been arrested?
I was not arrested, but I did get a pretty heavy duty charge in Detroit, actually. We didn't go to jail, nothing like, but
You got charged? Ticket?
yeah, heavy one, like big misdemeanor. I ended up having to like fly back to Detroit to like go to court, a whole thing. It wasn't just like a simple little ticket. It was like a major, it's been a few years now, so I could butcher it, but I was with the Tech 9 dudes and we got busted for being at an old abandoned school. Long story short, cops came, said, hey, I just need to see everybody's IDs. You know, usually pretty classic protocol, just like check in, make sure nobody has like felony warrants or something out for them. But yeah, they were gone for like an hour and a half. And then we like went back to their car and we're like, what's taking so long? And then they like came out and handed us each a ticket, and they were for breaking and entering, like gnarly breaking and entering, trespassing tickets. Like,
was it fenced off? Was the zone like fenced or anything? No.
Empty field with an old abandoned school. Half the walls were collapsed in it. No signs, not a single thing anywhere. And yeah, it was.
I got to ask though, did you get the shot before?
I wasn't even snowboarding. I was running a winch. I was running the winch.
Just straight, like just loitering.
I mean, kind of like,
right?
But because we were on the building, but like, it's funny, you know, as you get older and you look back on things, you're like, man, there's so many things I guess I could have like, I mean,
gotten hurt, sued.
Not even gotten hurt, sued, but like in that situation, like we could have been like, cool, where are the signs that show that we're trespassing? Where's the where's the proof that you have that I was there? Mm-hmm. You know, not only was there, but like that I was even on the building. Like I was just standing in a field according to you. Like,
yeah.
You have
I remember
no
being
proof.
a smart ass kid too, and just being like, you see the sign, you're like, it says no rollerblading, dude. It doesn't say no skateboarding.
Well, I mean, but you know, technically at the same time, like it's like in that situation in particular, right? Like there was nothing saying we couldn't be there. There was no trespassing. There was no nothing. And then also like when we handed over our IDs or whatever the case may be, that was the furthest thing on the planet that we thought was going to happen. We thought it was just going to be like a simple, oh yeah, let's just check you guys out. You can't be here. Go. You know, I've never had such a dramatic, like, oh my gosh, you're in like deep trouble, you know?
Yeah.
And it was pretty ridiculous, man. But that's Detroit. You know, they're just looking for $1 anywhere they can. But yeah, we went back out there and I had to go to court and like plead down to like get it off my record and like a bunch of stuff because they were, like I said, they were charging us with pretty heavy duty stuff. I ended up getting like a disorderly conduct and like 3 months of probation in Michigan, which never have been back. So
you just can't screw up in Michigan, essentially.
Well, I mean, this was 8 years ago or so now, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But yeah, that was definitely wild. But that was one of those situations where we weren't doing anything. Like the building was already legitimately like falling over. Half the walls were already completely gone. It had been ransacked completely for all of its metals, everything else. So it's just like absurd that they were even like getting in trouble or getting mad at us for being there in the first place. But super corrupt city. But
damn,
is what it is. I mean, my stories are always long, but I could go on a whole bunch more about that place. But
well, this is why we have a podcast.
Yep.
Talk about these things.
Well, we can get into it at another time. But then there's also the other thing, which is like, I remember on Brendan Gerard, it was Brendan Gerard. I think Eric Messier was with them. They were driving from Tahoe to Denver to SIA. And they happened to be going through Wyoming, found this like rail.
Oh, I remember this.
And dude, they went to jail.
Yeah.
They went to jail and had to get like bailed out. They were obviously late to SIA because they had to get their homie out of jail. I think it was Jerry that went to jail and Ben Rice, I think.
He was, because I went back to Denver with those dudes like a month after. We met up with you one day, I think.
Yep. And yeah, dude, they got in trouble for scraping the paint off of a dude's rail and they went to jail. So, and they ended up having to fly back and like repaint this person's railing.
I remember that. It was like, at that whole time.
So you never know, but okay. We've kind of gotten off topic here. This isn't stories about us. The point is, as property owners, would you want people doing that sort of damage to your stuff?
Gosh, honestly, it depends. I don't know. If I owned like a big building and I had money, you know what I mean? We'll say I have a spot
Yeah.
Right? It's a business. It's a spot you came on a Sunday and you hit it. Cleaned up after yourself. I could see no issue with it. But I think what everyone's worried about is like getting sued.
Well, this is also another thing that a lot of people don't understand is when you, let's just say that Brendan, for example, in that situation, were to have fallen, were to compound fracture his arm and ended up needing to get like a $20,000 surgery to put plates in, to reset his whole arm, whatever. Like, sure, Brendan, till he's blue in the face, could tell the property owner, I'm not suing you, I'm not suing you, I'm not suing you. Unfortunately, though, if Brendan has if he has insurance, health insurance, his insurance company is going to go after the business owner and sue them for not putting up the proper things to withhold them from being sued.
Yeah.
So it's not actually the snowboard. And this was always a tough thing for me because it was like, dude, I'm not going to sue you. Like, what are you worried about? Like, I
remember even making up like little contracts, right? And being like, look, I'll sign this.
And we had those that we would like sign, like, or like print out and be like, look, here's our, whatever's our contracts that saying that we won't sue you and all this stuff, basically like a liability waiver with the building.
Yeah.
And usually that would, or sometimes that would work, but again, it's usually not the snowboarder that's going to sue. It's the insurance company.
So
if
your
you did
health
get
insurance suing. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. Huh. So that's why property owners tend to be so
well, they've probably dealt with it at some point, right? So they've
maybe
I mean something.
Also, in this country, like, people are so worried about getting sued because being sued is just so commonplace here now. Like in other countries, like I have had way less issues in other countries as far as street snowboarding goes. But that's because they don't just lawyer up there and like look for a money grab. Like here in the States, it's just like every person's always trying to sue somebody else for something. It's like, versus in other countries, it's like you take accountability for yourself and that's it. It's not the building's fault that you decided to snowboard down their kink rail in the front and you freaking cracked your head open. Like that's, here in America, the people would be like, well, that building, they probably should have put up some sort of features on those rails that made it really hard for people to snowboard on it. That's versus saying, no, you're the idiot that decided to go snowboarding on it. Like,
it's kind of like the fence around the pool type thing. Like, I don't know if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, but
I've seen bits and pieces, but
it's a whole thing on that where it's like someone didn't have a fence around it. He's getting sued, but you think it's so silly. Like, who the fuck would, you know what I mean? Like that dude just ran in the yard and fell in the pool and got wet, whatever, but
not here.
I guess people will sue. I mean, my thing, I always thought like, oh, well, dude, when I was younger or something, like under parents' insurance, like a minor being like, well, my dad wouldn't sue. Like, I just wouldn't tell him where it was or whatever. Right. Like, but then I never thought about it that way. Like, well, whatever Blue Cross Blue Shield might go, oh, hey, where were you, dude? Tell us. That's fine. But I don't know. Are they looking for that information?
I mean, it depends on the bill, right? Like it depends. Like if let's, I mean, this is worst case scenario. I like using Brendan in this because Brendan has a lot of crazy stuff that he's done.
Oh my gosh.
But Brendan was hitting a spot one time and he was sitting on the edge of a building and he was like bomb dropping off his butt and then going into this like super crazy steep thing. And this lady called the cops because she thought he was trying to like off himself by jumping off the building. Brendan was not trying to do that. He was simply trying to snowboard down the spot. But let's just say hypothetically that Brendan did miss that ledge that he was trying to land on. And he did fall 4 stories off the roof of a building and landed on the ground and needed to get airlifted out. I mean, we're not talking about a $5,000 x-ray. We're talking about a $100,000 helicopter ride, plus whatever surgeries, plus whatever else he needs to get done. So now if you're the insurance company and Brendan, who only has a $10,000 deductible, for those of you, maybe this is going over a lot of your heads, but if he only has a $10,000 deductible, well, guess what? That insurance company is looking for the remaining $155,000 that they need to pay out. And how are they going to get that? By going after that building for I mean, I don't know how you could do it, but it opens up that building for liability against them, or opens them up for litigation because it happened on their property.
Damn. And if anyone here is looking for insurance, go to your guy Andrew here.
I am not the guy, man. Too.
Pull out your business cards.
Yeah, for real, right? Here they are. Bing, bing, bing. But yeah, so that is why a lot of businesses and a lot of property owners don't want you snowboarding on their spots, But that's also a reason why you got to be kind of low key with stuff, and you got to be kind of incognito about it, and in some cases wear reflective vests. Not protective at all,
sneaky about
reflective vests to like kind of get away with it. There's a lot of little things you can do to kind of be sneaky, but
a lot of stuff I remember too. It was like just kind of going to the etiquette of it is like cleaning up after yourself, not like tearing shit out. Like I've been with people where they're just like fucking cut out part of a rail, or heard of other people doing that, and you're like, dude, I'm not gonna name names, but there was a perfect kink rail that a bunch of people have had like natural speed kink rail, right? Yeah. And they're like, oh, it's too close together. We don't want to deal with that. It's scary. And all of us have done tricks on it already and sessioned that thing so many times. And they just cut off one of the rails. Dude, I'm talking like a 70 feet of rail.
They
gone.
Cut it.
That's not cool. Don't do that, kids. But that's going to ruin the spot, and has,
Yeah. Well,
just don't do that kind of shit. Clean up after yourself.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads into another sort of whole section, which is there's making, like, let's say there's a bunch of tree branches that are laying over something, and you want to cut back the branches so that you can hit a rail. All good.
Yeah.
If there's a bunch of knobs on the rail and you think you can file them down a little bit to make it so the rail's more hittable, all good. But when you start doing like permanent damage to where you are like cutting out entire things, getting rid of whole fences, cutting out entire trees, doing all these things, you're crossing a pretty heavy line where, I mean, part of the goal of anything is to find spots as they are, right? Like, and if you're sitting there, like if there's a closeout rail at the bottom, but it makes things too gnarly, and then so you just get rid of the closeout part of the rail at the bottom, well, now it's no longer the same features when you found it. And if you were too scared to hit it, then you should have moved on and hit something else,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that when you start messing with actual features or damaging actual property, or, and I'm not talking like some paint getting chipped off, because that could happen from a kid playing with his metal truck going up and down it, I'm talking like, oh, there was this gap in here, and now I'm going to do some massive thing in the middle of the night to like destroy something so that I can now feel safer on it snowboarding.
Yeah.
That is a no. I mean, I think that's a no-go.
Well, part of what makes street snowboarding cool is you're using the street feature. You know, you're not building something, you're using a street feature. Like, and kind of working with that construction of it, right? Like that's what skateboarding does. Like that's kind of the whole, whoa, there's this weird transition to this rail that's unique. Like it looks cool. Like, yeah, don't go and just destroy that or create your own. Like, I've seen where people like a closeout, they cut the closeout out and make it a hinge.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Think about if someone like is using that, like some grandma's using that railing, like, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store.
Here's another thing like that I kind of just thought about too is like as snowboarding progresses, you know what I mean? Like some people thought that at one point, some people thought going through a kink rail was crazy. Then somebody thought hitting a closeout rail was crazy. Then somebody thought going sideways through a closeout rail was crazy. Then somebody was like, I'm going to do a kink rail into a closeout rail. Then somebody, if you destroy that spot now, then that progression that could possibly lead up to that is done.
That's what I was saying, like with that kink rail, you know what I mean? Someone could have double slid that. Like, it sucks. Like it just was a bummer. Like that kind of stuff is a bummer. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Clean up. Be respectful. I mean, if it's a fancy building and they got like crazy, even like bushes or, whatever, certain planters, like don't cut that shit.
Well,
like,
and here's another thing. Like I thought this is where you were starting to go when we first started this little section. But it's leave things as they are and treat them with respect, Because how many times have you gone to a spot where a person came out and was like, yo, this is totally chill, except for the fact that some of you guys, like some of you, so other snowboarders came here 2 weeks ago and you guys destroyed the place. So they probably wouldn't have even cared. But the fact that another crew or another group of people went and then left the place destroyed now has ruined it for the people that could have gone and, you know, and even though it wasn't the same person, even though it wasn't the same group, and you might, like, I've even sat there where I've been like, yo, that is not what we do. We are 100% going to clean it up. I know that we're throwing a bunch of snow back out into the street at the bottom of this rail, but it'll all be cleaned up. You won't even know we're here. And in fact, we'll actually make sure all the stairs are cleaned up and good to go, because we don't want them to have a bad impression, which then ruins it for people in the future. And that's, like I said, that's happened a couple times where we're like, oh yeah, you guys came here last week and you destroyed it.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not even from here.
You're like bro, I just flew in yesterday.
I got salt, I got all this stuff. I'll make it nice. And someone ruined it. That sucks.
Yeah. So, and not only that, but when it comes to like tearing down features and cleaning up your spot after you're done, this is kind of can lead into our next one, but kind of claiming spots. If you leave the landing to something up, or you leave the lip to your thing up, and another group of people drives by, they're obviously going to be like, oh, I wonder who came and hit this, you know, especially if you've graffitied the spot or whatever the case may be.
With your logo?
What? No, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. What we did used to, this is actually pretty comical. This is actually pretty funny. Nick Pooch, one time, we left Pooch for like 4 hours. Like, he was going to go build the lip for he was building like a jump up onto like an awning over on an entrance to a building, and then awning off of that into like a wall ride. And so we're like, hey, we're going to go hit this spot. While we're hitting this, we're going to leave you here and you just start shoveling and building the jump and setting up your spot, right? We came back, and this jump, Pooch was a big backcountry guy, always built jumps. Dude, this was the most pristine jump you've ever seen. It was like cut out perfectly flat, smooth walls. And we're like, Pooch, this looks way too nice to be a street spot. So we ended up like taking spray paint into the snow, not on any walls or anything, but spraying like what looked like a wall and like graffitiing on the snow to make it look like the jump wasn't there, like kind of to hide it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dude, because it was this huge jump. It was probably like 5 feet tall and like 6 feet wide and like this massive, like a backcountry jump.
Yeah.
But for the street spot. And it was like, it was mad comical. But
we used to joke about building bigger jumps and like, oh, what if we spray painted the back to
make it look like a stair or something?
Remember because I mean, there was a point where we were hitting jumps that were 2 inches tall, like just to. It was going that way for a while. Now people are building booters on this stuff.
Well, I mean, what was the thing for you? Like, how did you measure it? How would you measure how big your jump was going to be?
I mean, you kind of look at the spot. You could set a board and kind of see like, all right, how much is this going to get to? But you didn't build anything too big. But I've been to spots where like you go there and you're shoveling off like a whole lip that's taller than the rail.
I had a general rule of thumb. The easier the trick, the smaller the jump. The harder the trick, the bigger the jump. Like, you can get away with building a little bit more lip if you're like going to 270 onto it.
Yeah.
But if you're just like going into like a 50 or a nose press or a board slide or something, that jump better be real small. But
that's fair. That was still to this day. I feel like that rule is kind of like, I fully get that, and I've for sure been at the jump where it's like this big, and you're like, well, dude, I kind of want to spin on, and they're like, all right, well, how big do we'll give you an inch, bro? And you're like, yeah, I'm not. I guess I'm just doing a board slide today.
Well, we could go on for another whole thing about how things have changed in that regard, because there used to be a lot of like little weird rules, right? Like board slides between the feet, perfectly 90 degrees, small jumps, nose presses had to be like certain, height. Like there was a bunch of like small things that we've kind of eased back on now, if that makes sense.
Well, I wonder if that's like, because back when we were talking about this, right? Like, I think because now it's like anything kind of goes, because maybe people aren't getting paid or you know what I mean? Like there's just it's more for fun, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
what's that Instagram account we were that?
Phantom
like,
Press.
No, not that one.
Street snowboarding is dead.
Is that the one where they're like calling out people for like not?
I mean, there has been a couple.
There's one that kills me.
There's a couple, yeah. They're all amazing. Like I love it, and dude, hey, I'm down to be called out too. Like I know that there's stuff that has been a little sus that I've done, where I'm like, yeah, I probably could have done that a little better. But then there's also, you know, like say you have a massive rail, like if you have like a really big rail or some sort of feature that's like the last thing that's on your mind shouldn't be, am I going to catch getting onto this rail? So maybe I'm going to make the jump a little bit bigger, because it's not like when people see me do this massive rail, the last thing they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, I know that was a 90 stair handrail, but that jump was a little big. Yeah. Like no one's going to be saying
or like
that.
Unshoveling stairs. Like I remember definitely
that's another thing.
But we would get it bone dry.
Dude, yeah.
You know, and you're like, all right, the filmer's over in the freaking woods and you're like, you can't even see the stairs.
Yeah.
And you're just watching like 8 of your friends.
Yeah.
Back like, yeah. Oh.
Well, that's another one of those kind of old unwritten rules, you know, it was just like you cleared off the stairs. Like you completely cleaned off those stairs. And then there even got to the point where like, remember you would like cap the steps with like a little bit of snow on every single stair just in case you fell off, but you couldn't really see it on the camera.
Just put a little bit on the edge, but it saves your board too also.
Well, I was going to say that's the big thing of it, really. Like you're not, that little bit of snow isn't really protecting you if you're falling down the stairs, but it's just going to protect your snowboard so you're not like creeping in the next few times.
Well, when you're doing the bone dry stuff, you're not firecrackering down those stairs. You were flipping, you know?
Totally.
Like you were
hit and you were,
up.
Yeah, you just fold over and snap the nose of your board.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was fun.
It's not worth it.
Totally worth that 16 stair.
Yeah.
$400 snowboard gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
I know a trick we used to do back in the day was, I don't know if anyone knows about this one, but if the rail's like rusty and kind of shit, just get spray paint and spray paint it. Yeah. Then they get a nicer looking rail and you're sliding way smoother.
We used to do that when we were done. Like if we like, if it was like a blue rail and it was like all scraped up and destroyed, we'd like try and go get some like matching paint.
That's pretty smart. I mean, we had a rail here where I remember you'd get on it and it was like super slow, you know?
Yeah.
It just like, and your board would just graze to it, like stick on it almost. Yeah. But yeah, spray paint it and then a bunch of tricks went down. It was a really fun rail.
Speaking of that, I remember there was a spot, it was a creeper rail. That was a down, flat, down, flat, down, flat, down, I think.
Damn.
And it had been tried before, but they were just going too fast through it. And one thing that they did is they took like 3M glue or whatever, like spray glue. And then they went, and as they went down, they sprinkled sand on the rail.
Dude.
Yeah, to slow it down so that they could go
Rome video
through the
Rome Rider. Not to call.
I don't know. I'm not saying anything, but
was it? Come on, you can tell me. No one's listening. Was it a Rome? Was it a Rome dude?
I think so. I think it was.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, it's just like there's little tricks that like you do. I mean, and there's also certain things that you have to do to like make a spot hittable. And I think that if you're adding something to the feature as opposed to like breaking something to take it away, like you know, we did a rail in where were we? We were in some other place, but we had went and bought some of that like fake deck material, and we used that and like kind of pushed it into the snow on the top of this like closeout rail, because the way the roof was, it like sloped inward, so it wasn't totally flat. So we just like put a board on top of it. Like,
why'd you want it flat? So you could slide
so
across
that
it?
yes, you could slide
it. Sliding the roof?
So you could slide it and go off of it, because otherwise you couldn't slide it. But we like wedged something into it and then put a board on top of it. Like you can't even see it, but it's up there. So it was like just something that we added to it. And then we just took the board down and brought it with us, you know?
Yeah.
But didn't hurt anything, didn't do anything, but made a feature possible that wouldn't have been possible otherwise, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's legit.
And then there's one other last thing that I wanted to talk to you about.
Let's get into it, brother.
So street etiquette. I'm just gonna build a scenario for you, and you tell me what you would do or what you think is right.
Is this a fake scenario, or has
this
this
has happened.
maybe happened?
This has happened many times to many people, and I just want to know where your head's at with it. So you just spent 4 hours shoveling, building a spot. The sun just is setting. There's no way you're going to be able to hit it today. And you leave the spot all groomed out, ready to go, so that when you show up the next day or when you're ready to go do it, you hit it. You show up the next day and there's another crew that has found your spot all built and is about to start hitting it. What do?
What time do you show up in the morning?
Let's just say that you weren't able to get there till
we're talking like noon?
So say you get there at noon. Let's just, for a hypothetical argument.
Noon. So you slept in, showed up. Oh man, that's a tough one.
Well, you don't have to have slept in. You could have gone and hit another spot in the morning, somebody else's spot, and now you're coming over to you're done with another one and you're going to another spot.
Gosh,
but you built this spot. You built a 6 hour. You built a 6 hour landing.
Yep.
You built.
Is it a unique spot, or is it kind of like a known type thing, or is it some? Because I always would like to do weird shit.
This is, in this particular situation, it is a unique spot, not one that's just like always willy nilly set up.
Okay, but is it like one? Yeah. Okay. Fuck. I would side with the person who built it for sure and is going back to do it. But then how do you go about that? Hey man, I built a spot. Obviously it was set up.
I guess the etiquette question of it becomes, you're the person, not who built it, but you're the person that showed up to it.
Ooh. All right. If I showed up.
That's the side.
All right. I showed up, then I'm reaching out trying to find out who, like if I say I see the spot and I'm like, dude, I want to hit that so bad. It looks like so perfect, right? Then I'm making calls or sending text messages like who did this, who spot, what, right? You can figure it out. But
usually if another crew's in town.
Yeah. I don't think it's definitely not okay to hit it. I would not hit it. I would look at it as bad juju. Like,
what if it's a group of skiers and they're about to hit your spot? Then it's instant warfare.
So I'm now the guy who, yes.
That happens at backcountry jumps all the time, I feel like.
I've heard stories. I know people have taken shits on lips so that they don't get hit.
Yeah.
Have you done it?
Or
I haven't, but I know.
I've never done this shit, but I have spray painted lips of jumps and said like, do not hit this. Like, we are coming back to hit it. Like, I've written notes on the jump, on the lip of the jump to like tell people like, please don't hit our spot.
That's a unique one though too, because then also if it's a spot where you're messing up where someone could be walking their dog and you know what I mean, then that goes.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, but obviously you should expect that a landing's going to be taken out or plowed through or whatever if you're building it somewhere like that.
All right, so the hypothetical goes back. I built this spot. You show up. I'm not filming with you, and you're hitting it, and I roll up, and I'm like, dude, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah,
I would probably be like, what are you doing?
Well, first of all, that wouldn't be me.
I know.
I would not hit.
This is hypothetical.
No, I know.
Hypothetical.
You're right. Okay, so I'm hitting it. I would say, I'd be like, look, man, like, okay. We came to, we drove across this spot like 3 days ago, man, and we were coming here to build it, and it's not our fault that you left it up. Like, sorry, we're getting after it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that happen. And, the best way to honestly kind of roll with that, as I've seen, is let's session this together, help each other get the thing. It's a bummer that you did it this way, but yeah, I don't know. I've been in that situation, and that's how it's been handled. And both parties are probably a little bummed by the end of the session. Maybe everyone's happy and stoked and closer buds at the end of it, but I feel like you've had this happen, just judging by your face. And didn't go that way.
No, I mean I've had weirder instances happen, like between the one crew, or I should say, I've heard about situations happening, but
allegedly,
yeah. No, but I do know that there was a time when a lot of people kept kind of stepping on other people's stuff, kept hitting other people's stuff.
Denver, to the point, right?
No, this wasn't in Denver. I don't think. Like,
there was a winter though. Do you remember that? And everyone was in Denver. Like every crew?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple. I feel like there's a couple.
I feel like
years
that
I've
was
done it.
happening.
Yeah,
like
it's definitely trendy, man. Certain cities get trendy for a little bit, and a bunch of crews go places, and a bunch of people hit the same stuff. But that's kind of another thing that I was kind of going to go into next, but we can kind of stick with it now. But is like, and the reason I kind of prefaced it was you had spent all day building this, and you're planning to go back the next day. But typically, what you do is you build the whole spot, and then it's on you to tear your spot completely down. And that way, if somebody else decides they want to go and hit it, then
they got to put the work.
Oh, that was the situation that I just remembered. Somebody hit a spot, and then they destroyed the feature so that it could never get hit again. That is a super no-go. And I remember that got a few people in some hot water a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not
also the
names.
bike lock on the fucking spot.
Well, bike lock's fine. You can go cut that off. I think that
dude, that's not fine.
You don't think so? I think
so.
It's more fine than destroying the actual spot.
Yes,
that's for sure.
But it's still super lame.
It's just lame. It is lame. But I think like if you want to do things to try and help prevent people from hitting, like if you like shoveled for 7 hours and you built this massive landing, and then when you're done, you throw that snow so far away that if somebody really wanted to build it again, good luck. But you know, that's just snow and you're just like moving stuff. But yeah, if you're going and like buying things to specifically damage or to inconvenience somebody that's not snow, I think that's a little.
Dude, yeah, I got stories, man. But yeah,
I bet you hear there's a bunch of that stuff, like crew beef between spots. Yeah,
yeah.
You're like, oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah,
I've seen some 8-hour builds torn down by someone who was mad at someone and then puked and shit on it, and I've had
like they weren't going to hit it. They just went and destroyed it just to destroy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not naming, but geez, yeah, there's been some goofy shit.
Yeah, no, that's
gets heated out in the streets of Minnesota, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and there are certain spots, but my thing is nowadays, like, and don't get me wrong, like back in the day when it was a lot more serious to like find a spot, and then you finally built a spot, and you finally got it done, and then somebody else goes and hits it or tears it down or does something, that's not chill.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking, like saying, like, I think if you built something overnight, kind of a deal, you know, like it's kind of slightly your responsibility to get there early the next day and get after it, you know?
Yeah. And
I've built stuff too. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go.
No, I've built stuff too that we've built and just didn't get to it. And you're like, well, I hope someone hit that. You know what I mean?
Well, no, so that's what I was just going to say. Like if you show up to a spot, let's just say in the situation that I was just talking about, we drove by this spot 2 days ago. It looked really dope. We didn't get a chance to set it up. We came back 2 days later. Now we see that it's set up. I'm not going to hit it because it's been built. I'm not going to go hit it. But if I now come back in another 2 days and it's still there built and nobody's hit it, I'm definitely going to hit it. Like if you haven't gone and hit your spot that you built within that 72-hour grace period, then that's on you.
That's what I'm saying, man. Insurance Andrew.
Yeah. I just want to double check, you know, I don't like, and that way at least you have, you know, a leverage point. You can be like, look, dude, we went by here yesterday. We saw that it was built. We didn't touch it.
Yeah.
We came back again today. Still nobody's here hitting it. We're hitting it, you know? And then as the person who built it, you got to just be like, yeah, I mean, because you don't own it. You know, it's just out of street etiquette that you don't hit it because you know that somebody else put in the time and the effort. And that also goes back to like, this was kind of like a different part of it is like part of building the spot and part of hitting that spot is building the spot, right? Like there's obviously certain times where you, as a team, through teamwork, you like all help build and set up a feature, right? But then if you've got somebody who doesn't help at all, didn't shovel at all, had nothing to do with that spot, and all of a sudden they come in and start wanting to hit it, that's also kind of a no-go. Unless for some reason they couldn't be there or something else, and unless they like ask, hey man, like I know you guys built this, do you care if I get in on it? And you're cool with it, then okay. But a lot of the spots take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And so you don't want other people also getting the same stuff you're getting, especially if you're the one that put in the effort.
Yeah.
So
I get that. Yeah.
Have you ever had that sort of thing happen where like you built something and you were all psyched and then a bunch of people came in and were like, oh, well, dude, we're here now. We're going to hit it too.
I've had it when it's like with your homie and it's kind of a crew thing and you're like, you built it, but you're helping each other out kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a bummer when someone just rolls up like, dude, can I hit it too? And
Yeah.
you're like, well, honestly, like I'd rather snowboard with someone. It's just kind of more fun,
Yeah.
in my opinion, than being like all eyes on me. Like, let's, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah. No.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I agree. It's a bummer when that happens. Well, and then there's people that just don't ever help shoveling.
Yeah, there's
And that's
few
a
of those
bummer.
people. Yeah.
Some of those people can get away with it, which is great. Great for them. I guess they're saving their arm strength for the gym. But
Yeah. I mean, I think like, okay, Jordan and I, like we found this rail. We're gonna go set it up. And you and I start going, we're shoveling. We're out there shoveling for like 2.5 hours. It's crappy weather, but we're shoveling. And then there's another dude who's like, oh, I don't want to go outside. It's snowing and kind of raining. I'm just gonna sit in the car and smoke cigs, hang out, not do anything.
is this guy part of our crew? Is he our friend?
Let's say that he's in our crew.
Okay.
And then we're like, oh, dude, the clouds kind of cleared up. It's better weather. We're about to start snowboarding. We're about to start hitting the spot. And we start dropping in. We're okay. Yeah, we're starting to feel it. And then the homie who was smoking cigs in the car the whole time, who didn't want to have anything to do with it, is like, oh, it actually looks pretty fun now. I'm going to come out and hit it. That's where I'm saying, no, you're not. No, you're not. Me and Jordan have been sitting out there shoveling shit for 3 hours to make this happen. You've been sitting in there enjoying leisure time and music and cigarettes, and I haven't gotten to do it. And I've been shoveling. So no, you don't get to do it.
See,
that's where I stand on that.
And I'd probably let him and you'd kind of make this discussion with this friend, the hypothetical friend. Like, all right, man, you can hit this, but you got to help with the next spot. Or you got to build a spot.
Yeah, I mean,
but maybe if you got a repeat offender, then I kind of get where you could
the etiquette is if you want to hit the spot, you need to help shovel it.
You should. Right? You should.
I mean, Bone Zone, like you got to bring up a shovel. You want to ride the Bone Zone, you got to bring a shovel and help.
Yeah, everyone's got a shovel to ride. I mean, look at all the snowboy events. Got to clean up at the end, you know?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Well, so I get that. But yeah, the only way I'd let someone is if you're just like, all right, maybe you're going through a breakup. You know, you've been on those snowboard trips where someone's going through some shit.
I mean,
I haven't been that guy, by the way.
The best way to get out of that headspace is to be with your boys and out there. Like, what's going to make you not think about things? Sitting in the car or being out shoveling and like pushing push scoops for 2 hours and like the banter and the BS between your homies. Like, that's what's going to get you out of your headspace, not.
Well, you gotta do the hat thing too. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm with you on that.
Any other etiquettes you can think of off the top of your head?
I think we leave this up to if other people got comments? Stuff. Comment, let us know. We can touch on this again.
Yeah,
part 2.
I think there could be like part 3, part 4. This is always an interesting one, and people are always bringing up new things.
Has different thoughts on it, which I think is.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you agree with us. Let us know if you completely disagree with us. I don't know. I think we're in cahoots with most things. We agree.
Yeah, I think so too.
And yeah. If you guys are out there and you're hitting snowboard spots, yeah, show a little etiquette to your other boarders, to other people, to your fellow boarders, to all kinds of stuff.
Grab a shovel, help your friends. Be respectful, clean up when you're done.
Pretty simple.
Don't be the guy in the car smoking cigs, trying to get over that breakup. And
if you want to be the guy hitting the spot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be the guy sitting in the car smoking cigs, but you can't be the guy sitting in the car smoking cigs and then get into snowboard too. Unless you shoveled. And helped.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, I think that was a pretty good one. Again, guys, make sure you let us know in the comments and wherever what you guys think about the show, what you think about this episode, what you think about street snowboarding in general, all the things. Make sure you guys hit thedropsnowboarding.com. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, The Drop Snowboarding, and subscribe on The Drop Snowboarding on YouTube. Jordan, thanks, bud.
Thank you, man. That was a good chat.
It's been a pleasure. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later.
Adios.
See ya. Peace.
Peace.